Buffy was Mythtaken. Leprechauns do exist in Sunnydale, and we'll learn all about it in this week's special Halloween episode, Fairy Tales and Fangs, featuring Fear Itself, Season 4, Episode 4. Fall, 1998. Sunnydale High Library. Buffy says, "There are two things I don't believe in, coincidences and leprechauns. Heed ye not the old gods, Buffy?" Halloween night, 1999, UC Sunnydale. Buffy and the gang are in for another Halloween of pretending that nothing particularly ghoulish is going to happen. As we're told every year, the vampires and demons think it's a bit cheap to act all demon-y on Halloween. The gang's a bit wiser though, after their Season 2 experience of turning into their costumes, and dress accordingly. Xander dresses as James Bond, Willow dresses as Joan of Arc, and Oz completes their couple's costume by dressing as God. Buffy goes as her old standby, Little Red Riding Hood, with a basket full of weapons. It's a little red herring though, because this is actually not the fairy tale we're here to discuss today. The gang begins their trek through the haunted frat house. But things aren't right. Toy spiders become real, doors open and disappear, and the gang's deepest fears become realized. Xander turns invisible and inaudible. Oz transforms into a werewolf. Willow's finder spell spirals out of control and overwhelms her. Buffy has a truly horrifying encounter with some basement zombies. They're terrified out of their senses.
And so they're probably not thinking at all about the fact that Halloween originally comes from Samhain, the Celtic New Year, the night on which the veil between the living world and that of the spirits, that is, the other world, is at its thinnest. Let's leave the Scooby Gang for a moment and go back to the land before the beginning, to the Celtic creation stories. It's October 31st, and Samhain will begin at sundown. For many years, the children of Danu, who are essentially the good guy gods in Celtic mythology, have been slaves to the Fomori. But that ends tonight. The children of Danu will have assembled their best healers, their best swordsmiths, and with a formidable army full of men and women, their very second best warrior, Nuada, they are going to battle the Fomori for their freedom and for control of the Island of Destiny. This Celtic New Year is going to be a whole new beginning for them. It does not go well. The Fomori find out and kill the swordsmiths who have been repairing their broken weapons and destroy the magic stream that their healers have been using to resurrect the dead. Worst of all, their very second best warrior, Nuada, is slain by Balor, leader of the Fomori. It's a close battle, but Balor has an enormous eye that kills everyone he looks at, so it's kind of hard to beat. I mentioned that Nuada was the second best warrior of the children of Danu. Their first best warrior is Lu Lamfada, which means Lu of the long arm, so called because he is skilled in just about every kind of craft, form of artistry, law, wisdom, you name it. Also, he is the god of many things, which means that I need a new costume. See what I did there? Even though he is their best warrior, his wisdom is so vital that they will need him to rebuild and carry on, so he is far too important to lose in battle. They have imprisoned him in a cell and guarded him with 9 warriors. But when Lu hears that Nuada has died, he resolves not to sit on the sidelines any longer. He breaks from the cell, fights off the 9 warriors, and rushes to the battlefield to save the Islands of Destiny. Meanwhile, Balor, aka Fomori leader with the evil eye that kills everybody, is surveying the battlefield and feeling pretty confident about his victory. And let's talk about that enormous evil eye for a second. Not only does it kill anyone who gazes upon it, But every life it takes makes the eyelid that much heavier. And by now, his eyelid has grown so heavy it takes 9 warriors with pulleys to open the lid of it. So he keeps that eye closed, except at opportune moments. With his other eye, he sees that through the darkness comes an overwhelming light. How odd, he muses. The sun is rising from the west today. But it isn't the sun. It's Lulamfada, radiating brilliant light and ready to save his people. Balor signals to his men to open his eyelid so he can stop Lu once and for all. But just as the eyelid opens, Lu quickly tosses a mixture of sand into Balor's eye and rolls out of the way. Oldest trick in the Trickster Handbook. The sand goes right through Balor's eye and kills him. From there, Lu and Lamfada and the children of Danu battle their way to victory. The island of destiny is theirs, and the Fomori are banished to the bottom of the sea from whence they came. Nothing lasts forever, not even for gods. Let's move ahead to medieval Ireland. St. Patrick has done his thing, and the followers of the old gods are slowly converting to Christianity. Catholic missionaries are following the Gregory doctrine, which instructs them to incorporate some of the older pre-Christian beliefs into their teachings. Thus, Samhain, the Celtic New Year, became All Souls' Day, and the evening before, called Icahauna in Gaelic, became All Hallows' Eve, Halloween. People are converting, but they're still pretty attached to the old gods whom their families have worshipped for centuries. So, what do you do if you're a Christian missionary? What kinds of stories do you tell to weaken the hold of the old gods? You can make them into demons. You can make them saints. Or you can make them very small. You can say they are she, fairy folk, little pixies or spirits of the other world, relegated to living underground. You can say that the less they are worshipped, the smaller, weaker, more other they become. And the once mighty Lu Lamfada, Lu of the long arm, great warrior, and wise leader of the children of Danu, well, you can say that he is now Lu Choman, little stooped over Luke, and over time, the word Lu Croman became Leprechaun.
Back to Halloween, 1999, where the Scooby Gang have faced classic horror tropes and become so terrified they have wound up on the top floor of the frat house. Buffy has fought her way up from underground. They have been reunited in the goat room. As Buffy deduces, they have been brought here. But why? Willow quickly scans the Gaelic and the book left open beside an enormous mark on the ground. The gang learns that the frat boys have accidentally begun a ritual to summon Gachnar, a demon who feeds on fear. Sadly for me and my particular niche interests, the gang doesn't speak any actual Gaelic aloud, but I did find a Reddit thread that explains that the Irish Gaelic text used in the book that they show is actually from an article about a new bus lane opening in Dublin, with the word Gachnar inserted throughout. Tension is rising as the gang scrambles to stop Gachnar from manifesting into the mortal world. A terrifying figure bursts through the wall with a chainsaw, but it turns out to be Giles, with bunny costume Anya in tow. "I don't want to fight that," Buffy says, looking at the fearsome sketching of Gachnar. Giles reads that there are 2 ways to prevent his manifestation. Destroying the mock, he begins, but before he can finish with, "is not one of them, and will only hasten his appearance," Buffy has already punched the mark with Slayer strength. Now there is nothing they can do but watch Gachnar rise from the depths of the underworld. I am the Dark Lord of Nightmares, he squeaks, the bringer of terror. Tremble before me, fear me! He's about 3 inches tall. He's so cute, Willow exclaims. Who's a little fear demon, says Dander. A demon who feeds on fear, but who has become very, very tiny, presumably due to his lack of fearful worship. Sounds like an exiled Celtic god, presumably not one of the nice ones. Exiled to live underground. In other words, Gachnar is a leprechaun. Who's a little fear demon?
Don't taunt the fear demon. Why? Can it hurt me? No, it's just tacky.
Buffy steps in and squashes tiny Gachnar, paying no heed to his final attempt to stoke her fears. They'll all abandon you, you know, says Gachnar. Yeah, says Buffy, unfazed. Gachnar has no more power here than the Lucky Charms mascots. As the gang recuperates and gorges on Halloween candy at Giles' house, Giles suddenly exclaims, "Oh bloody hell! The inscription! I should have translated it!" He shows Buffy the book with a sketch of Gachnar and a Gaelic inscription beneath. Actual size. It's a great button for the end of the show, but I think the Gaelic is actually a little bit off. Under Gachnar is written Fear Mid, which I think actually translates to men-sized, not actual size. But it does make for a great visual pun. Fear, F-I-R, is men in Gaelic, plural. The singular for man is fair, F-E-A-R. It's a nice tie-in to the name of the episode, fear itself, and the fact that Gachnar feeds on fear. What a relief that he only feeds on fear in the English sense of the word, instead of feeding on Gaelic fear, as in feeding on men. And maybe Gachnar, Fear Mid, is himself associated with the Fear Bulk, a mythologized race of people in ancient Ireland who also fought against the children of Danu. Maybe he's even associated with the Fomori, whose dark gods beat the children of Danu and enslaved them on the Island of Destiny. It would work with the Buffyverse demonic origin story wherein demons walked the earth before humans were introduced. Regardless of Gachnar's origin story, by the 1990s, he is a leprechaun. Absolutely a leprechaun, taking advantage of that thin veil between the mortal worlds and the other worlds on Samhain and hoping for some fearful acolytes. Gachnar neither succeeds in his tricks nor gets any treats. But I hope you get your fill of both this Halloween. So, Ike Hauna Hona Yuit. Happy Halloween to you, and as you trick or treat, do not forget the old gods who live beneath your feet. Happy Halloween from Fairy Tales and Fangs, and it would be a treat to hear your thoughts below in the comments.
Happy Halloween.